The observation deck of station Kepler-7 offered a view of 17 different star systems, but Zixara only ever watched one. Her luminescent eyes, pale blue against her silvery skin, tracked the shipping lanes from the Andorian sector with the patience of someone who had been waiting for 3 standard years. Still here, kid. Zixara didn't turn at the voice. She knew it belonged to Marcus Chen, the human maintenance engineer who always worked the late shift. He'd been asking her the same question for months now. They said they would come back, she whispered, her translator chip rendering her native clicks into perfect standard English. Before the war, they said 2 months. Marcus set down his toolkit and leaned against the viewport beside her. At 42, he'd seen enough of the galaxy to know how these stories usually ended. The Andorian Krill conflict had consumed entire sectors. Refugee stations like Kepler-7 were filled with orphans of a dozen species, all waiting for parents who would never arrive. But something about this kid, this 12-year-old Andorian girl with her determined vigil had gotten under his skin. "You hungry?" he asked. Zixara's stomach answered before she could. Marcus chuckled and pulled out a protein bar from his pocket. She took it hesitantly, her 3-fingered hand trembling slightly. "You know," Marcus said, settling down cross-legged on the deck, "humans have this saying, family isn't always blood. You know what that means?" Zixara shook her head, chewing slowly. "It means sometimes the people who matter most aren't the ones you're born to. They're the ones who choose to stay." Over the following weeks, Marcus found himself spending more time on the observation deck. He brought better food, real meals he'd cook in his quarters. He brought books loaded onto datapads, stories of Earth and human history. He brought conversation, asking about Andorian culture, listening as Zixara described her homeworld's crystal forests and singing storms. "Why do you care?" she asked one evening, 3 months into their friendship. "Your species has no obligation to mine." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "My daughter, Sarah, she'd be about your age now. Lost her and her mum in a shuttle accident 5 years ago." He smiled sadly. "Maybe I'm selfish. Maybe helping you helps me. But maybe that's okay." Zixara's eyes widened. In Andorian culture, sharing grief was sacred. "I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for yours too, kid." The station administrator, a bureaucratic Centaurian named Vexel, was less sentimental. When Marcus inquired about adoption procedures, he was met with 17 forms and a litany of regulations. "Mr. Chen, cross-species adoption requires approval from both governments. The Andorian Refugee Council must verify parental status. There are compatibility studies, psychological evaluations, resource assessments." "How long?" 2 years, minimum. Marcus looked at the datapad listing Zixara's options: a group home on Titan, a refugee camp on Mars, or continued residence on the station until she aged out at 16. None of them were good enough. "Then we start today," Marcus said. What followed was a masterclass in human stubbornness. Marcus filed paperwork during lunch breaks. He learned enough Andorian law to argue cases before refugee councils. He called in favors from old Navy buddies, got recommendation letters from station personnel, and even contacted a senator from his home district on Earth. Zixara watched this whirlwind with growing wonder. "Why are you fighting so hard?" she asked during one of their dinners in his quarters. Marcus looked up from his datapad, exhausted but smiling. "Because you're worth fighting for. And because humans, we're really, really stubborn when we care about something." "Your species is strange," Zixara said, but she was smiling too, a gesture she'd learned from him. "Yeah, we are. We once sent a car into space just because we could. We climb mountains that kill us. We go to war over ideas." He reached across the table and gently tapped her forehead. "And we rewrite entire legal systems for one kid with a good heart." 14 months later, 8 months ahead of schedule, the approval came through. Marcus Chen was officially recognized as Zixara's legal guardian, under both Earth and Andorian law. Standing in the station administrator's office, holding the official documents, Zixara felt something she hadn't felt in years. "Hope." "So," Marcus said, kneeling down to her eye level, "I know you've been waiting for your parents, and if they ever do come back, we'll figure that out together. But until then, if you want, I'd like to be your family, your dad, if that's okay with you." Zixara's luminescent eyes filled with tears, a biological response she shared with humans. She threw her arms around Marcus's neck, her translator chip barely keeping up with her rapid clicks of joy. "Yes, yes, please." 6 months later, they stood together in Marcus's new apartment on Lunar Station, where he'd transferred for a better position. Zixara had her own room, decorated with both Andorian star charts and posters of Earth's oceans. She attended school with human and alien kids alike. learning math and history and how to play soccer badly but enthusiastically. One evening, Marcus found her on their small balcony, looking up at the stars, but this time, she wasn't searching the Andorian sector, she was just looking. "You okay, kiddo?" Zixara turned and smiled. "I was just thinking, I spent 3 years watching 4 ships that never came, but the whole time the person I needed was already there. I just didn't know to look for a human." Marcus pulled her into a hug. "Sometimes family finds you in the strangest places, Dad." The word still felt new on her tongue, foreign and wonderful.
Yeah.
"Thank you for rewriting my life." Marcus kissed the top of her head, where her silvery hair caught the earth. "Thank you for letting me. That's what humans do, Zix. We don't give up on people, ever." Above them, Earth hung in the sky like a blue marble, and for the first time since the war began, Zixara felt like she was home.